Well, I decided that I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was 8 years old. And I, in fact, decided that's when I wanted to be an Egyptologist. Before that, I liked the Minoans a lot, but that's because I didn't know enough about the Egyptians. So ever since that time, I have wanted to be an Egyptologist. I've been very lucky because I've been able to work with many other scientists and so have been there when things have been discovered. So when we were working in KV63, which up until a few years ago, 2 years ago, was the last, most recently discovered tomb in the Valley of the Kings. I was working with the team directed by Dr. Otto Schadin. And what is also very exciting is to be able to excavate all of these sealed jars and go into them and be the first person who ever actually really looked at them and what was inside. So that was, of course, very exciting. Working in Kharga Oasis has been fantastic for me because we have found sites that have never been noticed before, discovered inscriptions, seen landscapes that are magical, and seen landscapes that are really, in some ways, evocative of what it was in 3000 BC. Well, archaeology, it's very difficult to define what it means. It is my life. So it is everything I do is basically related to archaeology. The ancient Egyptians remain a remarkable people historically. We still don't know entirely what their origins were, but presumably they were people who were indigenous to Africa, and maybe they were combinations, as the Egyptians that we know from the Old Kingdom were probably combined peoples coming from different parts of Africa as well as the Near East. So the blood was slightly mingled, but it made up for a very definitive kind of cultural entity. The Egyptians believed in doing things on a large scale, and so things like the pyramids, for example, there are many reasons why they are so monumental. One, of course, is because it makes a big impact. If you want people to see that the pharaoh is God, you need something that is truly spectacular. The other reason, of course, is you are employing people and keeping them occupied. It is also building a sense of teamwork and national unity. And so this is a whole thing that defines your nation. So it must be big, it must be impressive, and the work must last long enough for people to be employed, to be fed, to be looked after, to have a sense of loyalty. I think that for modern people, the idea that human beings without lots of technology and machines can make such astonishing monuments like the pyramids is something that they can't quite comprehend, because even in the past 60 years they've forgotten how people managed to do things without a lot of machinery. So I am as impressed in a way by the great cathedrals of medieval Europe, which were also made without many machines. So I think that's why people think of Atlantis or people from Mars and all these other theories. And it also fulfills a fantasy life that people want to have. My work in Kharga Oasis started because it was a very little studied oasis, but it has grown extremely because now we are looking at changing environment and what might have made people come from the outsides, which are now desert, into the Nile Valley, and also helps explain the various groups of people that might have inhabited all of Egypt and helped contribute to the pharaonic civilization as we know it today. The people who made the drawings that we see in the rock art of the desert were probably the same people that wound up finally settling in the Nile Valley. They were taking their pastoral lifestyle, and then when the environment changed, they had to settle somewhere where there was stable water, and the only place really was the Nile. So these people whom we see on both the eastern and the western desert were really people who helped make up the main population of ancient Egypt. One of the things that we found in Kharga Oasis was one of the earliest inscriptions by a pharaoh dated to about 3000 BC. So you don't think of them going out away from the Nile Valley, but they were doing just that. We even have Khufu, and Jedefre, all going out and exploring what is now the desert. But probably when they were there was much more water there and a lot of game. Well, there are still, I think, maybe 70% of Egypt's history is still beneath the sands of Egypt, and they're all ready to be excavated.
For the first time, you can join the live web conference with the most famous archaeologists in the world, Dr. Zaki Hawass and Dr. Salima Ikram. The event will take part on 29th September on live stream, what means that you can take part in it by the internet, wherever in the world you are.
It would be wonderful if people could watch or participate in the lecture that I'm about to give. It will be based on my work in the Western Desert and focus on the findings in Kharga Oasis. I will be talking about the history of Kharga Oasis, starting from prehistory all the way through the Roman period, but the emphasis will be on the prehistoric material so that people can see where the Egyptians came from, what kind of people were living here right before the dawn of pharaonic civilization.
Just now, buy your online ticket using our website www.archaeologicalpaths.com.